All right, happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm KHOU 11 meteorologist Pat Cavlin here. We're going to start with the tropics first, just because we do have some breaking news this afternoon. Hurricane Melissa has officially made landfall on the island of Jamaica. That happened at 1 p.m. Eastern time, so noon Central time, and it happened near New Hope, Jamaica, right here on the southwestern shoreline of the island nation. So landfall is defined as when the center of the eye is over land, and you can see, again, that happened just around 1 p.m. Now we're starting to see the majority of the eye move onshore. A remarkable landfall, and here's the reason why. When we go back in history, all the way back even into the 1800s, we are able to determine how intense a hurricane is based on pressure, not wind speed, but central pressure. And you can see the top 5 strongest landfalling hurricanes in the Atlantic on record typically see those pressure values in the low 900s. And then you've got the Labor Day hurricane in the Florida Keys, 1935, at 892. Today, Melissa tied that record, at least preliminarily, with a central pressure also of 892 millibars. So that would make it tied for the most intense hurricane landfall on record. It's not the most intense hurricane ever to form because, again, this just has to do with the landfall point, because other hurricanes have been more intense, but they have weakened before they've actually made landfall. There's the caveat with that statistic. Bottom line, though, a violent storm. This is the strongest storm on planet Earth right now. Winds at 185 miles per hour, gusting to 220 miles per hour, again with that central pressure at 892 millibars. It's not over yet. It moves across the island over the next 3 to 5 hours. Then it's back over open water, probably as a weakened Category 4 hurricane. From there, sets its sights on eastern Cuba, moves across the eastern half of that nation, and then by Wednesday, probably Wednesday afternoon, gets into the Turks and Caicos before racing up towards Bermuda, getting into the end of the week. Additional rainfall totals to come. Definitely going to be on the lower end for Jamaica, probably another 6 to 10 inches. I mean, it's a tremendous amount of rain, but the grand total for some spots will be about 40 inches. So a lot of that rain has already fallen. And then beyond that, Cuba will probably end up with about 10 to 20 inches of rain. The reason why it's not going to be quite as much up there is because by the time the storm gets there, it will be moving faster. Remember, this storm has been sitting just to the south of Jamaica for the last few days. So the strongest winds are around the eye. Remember, in the eye, the center of the storm, that's where you get the really calm conditions. So around the eye, around that center is where we got those winds gusting over 100 miles per hour. The worst of it goes to Montego Bay here on the north end of the island later this afternoon, 3, 4, 5 o'clock. From there, moves up towards Cuba. So again, areas around the eye wall could see, sustained winds 100 miles an hour, 110. But it's really that immediate center right on the eye wall where we could see wind gusts upwards of 150, 60, 70 miles per hour. Notice the U.S. Naval Station here, Guantanamo Bay. You're not going to see hurricane force winds here. I think they stay at tropical storm force going through the day tomorrow, or rather the day today. And then by tomorrow, the storm starts to exit Cuba and move towards the Turks and Caicos, where hurricane conditions will continue up there. Now, back here at home, weather's been quiet. That will also change as we get into the afternoon. Temperatures in the mid 80s right now, feels more like the upper 80s. And here's a look at the map. And the reason why I'm showing this to you is because back to the north and west, we've got a big cold front on the way. So we're in the mid to upper 80s this afternoon. Back across the Panhandle, the High Plains, West Texas, 50s and 60s as your current temperatures. So a very powerful fall front on the way for the afternoon. Nothing on radar quite yet. Couple showers now just starting to pop up through the Bryan College Station area. There's your actual front, though, still back towards the Metroplex. A lot of rain with this is going to stay away from our area, but we do work in the chance for some isolated feisty storms getting into the afternoon. So here it is on Future Track. There's your storm development here. I would say around 2, 3, 4 o'clock. Spotty downpours, couple claps of thunder. But as that line pushes south, this is where the storms may start to get feisty. And I think that we could see maybe the potential for a couple of severe thunderstorms. It's not going to be quite as widespread as it was over the weekend, but it does look like that the dynamics and the pieces are there in the atmosphere to support a severe weather threat. And I really think it's going to be focused from the city and points east. Watch what happens now getting into the evening. By 6 p.m., we're talking about a pretty strong line of storms moving towards the coast. So Galveston down towards Freeport, we could be seeing maybe the potential for some damaging wind gusts. And an isolated tornado is also not out of the question, along with hail. So every threat is on the table for us this afternoon and this evening. I know it's kind of a last-minute severe weather threat, but that's just how things are working out today. It looks like temperatures will be warm enough to support it, and the Storm Prediction Center is on board with that. And so they've increased the threat level. We were talking about this morning and last night seeing the green level 1. About an hour ago, not even, they increased the threat level now to a level 2. So that goes from eastern Harris County down to Galveston and then east towards Beaumont. So that includes Liberty County and parts of Polk County as well. Isolated hail, damaging wind gusts, and an isolated tornado threat, again, all on the table for us as we get through the afternoon and the evening. Here are the weather impacts kind of stacked up. Street flooding will not be a concern. We're not going to see a lot of rain out of this system, unfortunately. We could still use the rain. But again, these are fast-moving showers and storms, so it's wind damage, the large hail threat. Those are the two main threats. And the potential, the tornado potential is low, but it's not zero. So that'll be something we'll have to keep an eye on as well. So because of this, we've issued a weather impact alert. That goes into effect at 3 p.m. and it stays in effect until 7 p.m., which is about when we think these storms will start to move offshore. And by that point, temperatures really start to drop across the area. We will go from the upper 80s here through southeast Texas this afternoon down into the low and mid 50s by tomorrow morning. And with a stiff north wind, it'll actually feel in a few spots cooler. We're actually going to have a wind chill tomorrow morning in the upper 40s. So definitely worthy of a jacket for the kids at the bus stop, even for mom and dad going to work. I think it's going to be a brisk morning for a lot of us. Temperatures are going to fall from the upper 80s today down to the low and mid 50s by tomorrow morning. So a real Texas turnaround on the way for us. And the wind will also be the big story. This usually takes a backseat to the weather story, but I really think that you're going to be talking about this tomorrow. The gusts as that line moves in this evening, 30, 35 miles per hour. Tomorrow morning, we could see gusts around 20 miles per hour. And then again, by tomorrow afternoon, 30, 35, 40 mile per hour gusts, not out of the question. So some really gusty winds tomorrow. Coupled with the cooler temperatures, it's going to finally feel like fall here in southeast Texas. All right, 10-day temperatures look like this. We're going to go from 88 today down to 67, your high temperature. Tomorrow, 68 Thursday, low 70s for Halloween, mid 70s Saturday, and then back closer to normal, upper 70s to near 80 degrees as we get into next week. But the real fall chill comes in with these overnight temperatures. Oof. 54 tomorrow morning, but upper 40s Thursday and Friday morning in the city, which means we could see maybe low to mid 40s in some of the outlying areas. So some really cold weather for October standards coming up. We do get back into the mid 50s here Saturday, Sunday, and then we'll probably stay close to normal with the overnight temperatures in the 50s and low 60s into next week. Traveling tomorrow in the Northeast, cloudy for New York, a couple showers for Richmond, temperatures across the board in the 50s. Southeast, our powerful cold front that goes through today will be bringing rain and storms from Atlanta through Nashville into Little Rock. Warm ahead of the front in the 70s and 80s, chilly behind it in the 50s and 60s. Gorgeous weather here across the state. No humidity, 60s and 70s for a lot of us, 50s for Amarillo, windy up towards Oklahoma City, showers still for Kansas City, Springfield, St. Louis, sunny and cool for Chicago, widespread 50s across the upper Great Plains. Out west we go, 91 for Phoenix, a lot of sunshine, a beautiful day for you. 83 in LA, what a spectacular looking day out towards the west coast. 81 San Francisco, 57 Denver, 60 for Salt Lake, and then the Pacific Northwest, some mountain snow getting into the Sierras and the Rockies all the way towards the Canadian border. 52 for Spokane with showers, dry for the west coast, and then the Intermountain West actually looks okay as well ahead of that front with temperatures in the 50s. There's your 7-day forecast. So scattered severe storms for this afternoon, 88. We dropped to 67 then Wednesday. We dropped to 48 Thursday morning. We get to 68 by the afternoon. Halloween on Friday looks beautiful. We start off at 48 though. 72 is your high temperature. Trick or treat time, 50s to about 60s, so it'll be brisk in the evening. 75 with sunshine Saturday. The clocks go back 1 hour this weekend. Don't remember, you get an extra hour of sleep. And then we get back to 80 degrees as we head into the start of next week. So all in all, not a bad looking forecast coming up. At 4 p.m. on the KHOU 11 News, at 4, we'll be tracking storms and the latest with Melissa. We hope to see you then. Thanks for watching.